Protests that sprang up in Los Angeles over immigration enforcement raids and prompted President Donald Trump to mobilize National Guard troops and Marines have begun to spread across the country, with more planned into the weekend. According to Associated Press in Chicago, a small crowd gathered Tuesday outside Immigration Court in downtown and called for an end to Trump administration immigration sweeps and military presence in California. The group then marched through downtown streets drumming and chanting, "No more deportations." At one point in the march a car was seen speeding through the crowds walking on the street. It was not immediately known if there were any injuries. While many were peaceful, some have resulted in clashes with law enforcement as officers made arrests and used chemical irritants to disperse crowds. Activists are planning more and even larger demonstrations in the coming days, with "No Kings" events across the country on Saturday to coincide with Trump's planned military parade through Washington. The Trump administration said it would continue its program of raids and deportations despite the protests. ICE will continue to enforce the law, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem posted Tuesday on social media. Democratic members of California's congressional delegation are accusing the president of creating a manufactured crisis in Los Angeles with his orders to send in thousands of National Guard troops and hundreds of Marines. It's a deliberate attempt by Trump to incite unrest, test the limits of executive power and distract from the lawlessness of his administration, said Representative Jimmy Gomez, who organized a news conference at the U.S. Capitol on Tuesday morning. According to Associated Press, Representative Jimmy Panetta said Trump's decision to send in the military was designed to give him the image and give him the fight and give him the pictures that he wants. Representative Nancy Pelosi contrasted Trump's actions now with his handling of the January 6 insurrection at the U.S. Capitol when law enforcement officers were being beaten. Something is very wrong with this picture and consistent in his actions, contrary to his own statement that he couldn't have a year ago, that he couldn't send anyone in without the governor's consent, any place, and in violation of the Constitution, Pelosi said. President Donald Trump defends his decision to send another 2,000 National Guard troops along with 700 Marines to Los Angeles, escalating a military presence local officials and Governor Gavin Newsom don't want and the police chief says creates logistical challenges for safely handling protests. Additional protests against immigration raids are expected to continue in other cities Tuesday.
We are here not just as Californians, but as Americans who are concerned with the direction of our country. Let me say this. We have laws. We have to go by the laws. We can't call in the National Guard unless we're requested by a governor. Those are not my words. Those are the words of Donald Trump in 2020. Today, he's doing exactly the opposite. He's deploying National Guard troops and now mobilizing 700 active duty Marines into Los Angeles without the consent of the governor or the request of the governor and local law enforcement. The chaos is the bait, and the switch is a constitutional crisis and power grab. Trump created this political distraction to divide us and keep our focus away from his policies that are wreaking havoc on our economy and hurting working families. He's not keeping us safe. He's not restoring order. He's ratcheting up the tension, wishing for it to reach a boiling point. And we all knew that this day would come. It was just a matter of time. And this isn't leadership. It's a deliberate attempt by Trump to incite unrest, test the limits of executive power, and distract from the lawlessness of his administration.
Bringing the National Guard and the Marines only escalates tensions, turning our neighborhoods into battlegrounds and militarizing our streets is not the answer. It's not the answer for California, and it's not the answer for any other state or municipality across the country.
It is unprecedented what this individual is doing, but it's exactly what he does best, dividing the people and creating chaos, testing his limits of power, and also diverting attention away from many of the disastrous programs that he's trying to perpetrate on the people of the United States of America. This has to end. It's not fair to the military personnel who've been called out. It's certainly not fair to individuals who are peacefully protesting, and peacefully protesting is important.
We are here because we stand with our constituents and immigrant communities across this country. We stand with them to protest peacefully in the streets, as many of them have done. We must put an end to Donald Trump's inhumane attacks on immigrant communities and on our Constitution.
Something is very wrong with this picture. Inconsistent in his actions, contrary to his own statement that he couldn't, of a year ago, that he couldn't send anyone in without the governor's consent, any place, and in violation of the Constitution.
And so, the first thing you got to get it in your heads is you cannot believe what the president is telling you. You've got to understand that he's a liar, that he cannot be trusted, that he wants to get the numbers, he wants to show MAGA crowd that he's in fact getting the numbers he promised he was going to get to deport people out of the country. He's trying to make sure that he gets people angry. People are worried about separation of families, children from their mothers and their fathers, etc. And of course, we always have to be careful that they're not agent provocateurs that we've learned about historically that's in the middle of all of this, trying to make sure that they create violence. We are not creating violence. We don't have any outpouring of violence. We are saying we want peaceful protest. The Constitution guarantees that. Stop this lying president from what he's doing and getting into your heads and get it straight.